Hi everyone. So Halloween is this weekend, so changed my mind. This is probably gonna be the first video that I upload. And since it's Halloween, spooky season, did snow the other day, but we're just gonna ignore that. I decided that I'm going to tell you all about my childhood and growing up in houses that were clearly haunted and how that affected me. So going back, when I was about 3 years old, me and my family lived in like an apartment building, and I am the second youngest, more like middle child. And like my parents were in the shower, like just bathing and having some alone time, and I was in the living room area with my little brother, who's like 1. So he's just like laying on the floor, has a dirty diaper, and crying. So I go to the bathroom door and I'm knocking, and I'm like, Mom, Dad, Josue is crying. Can you change him? And they don't hear me. So I walk back into the living room and I see some guy sitting on the couch, and I'm just like, hi, can I help you? And he's like, you have to change his diaper. And I'm like, yep. And he's like, do you know how? And I was like, nope. So he offers to walk me through the process. And he does. And I do it. The dirty diaper's on the side. I wipe him, baby powder, like the whole shebang. Like, I'm a very competent 3-year-old. Put the diaper back on. He's set. No longer crying. I'm good to go. Get him a bottle. He's dandy. And then my parents come out the shower, and they're like, oh, who were you talking to? And I said, oh, the old man. And I gesture to the couch, and there's no one there. My mom's like, okay. All right, that didn't happen. So she walks away. Just hit my mic stand. So she leaves with my dad just to put clothes on. Comes back and sees that I changed Josue's diaper. She's like, who did this? And I'm like, oh, I did. The old man showed me how to do it. So now she's worried that there's a man in the house. She and my dad just go through the whole apartment. It's not a big apartment. Find no one. So they're just like, okay, we're just gonna act like this didn't happen, whatever, walking away. Okay. Yeah, and that's just the whole thing that happened. It wasn't until a couple of years later that I saw a photo of my grandpa, and I was just like, I've met that man before. And then Grandpa's ghost helped me change my little brother's diaper. Thanks, man. He was loud. And so then the next round of ghost encounters was my family moved into, when I was in the 3rd grade, this one house on a street called Octavia. So still in Chicago. And it was like a big house, which was good because everyone was getting like kind of older. And there were like a few places in that house that no one liked to be in because it was clearly haunted. So the first place, let's start in the attic and work our way down. So in the attic, there were 2 rooms. One room belonged to my older sister, and then the other room, I believe initially was my brother shared them, and then it became my room, and then it became no one's room. 'Cause no one wanted to be in there. So when you would be in that room, you would hear like kids like giggling and like footsteps in the attic area, because there was storage all around the room and between like the framework of the house and the actual wall to the room. You could put storage in there, and you would hear children laugh and footsteps. And we've had cats for many a year at that point. We know what cats sound like. They don't sound like human feet. So we're just like, oh my god. Our mom didn't believe us, by the way. We were just like, hey mom, the house is haunted. None of us want to stay upstairs. And she's just like, oh, you guys are being ridiculous. Like, just go to sleep. And there would be times where she would ask us to pull stuff out of the annex. We would go in, and one day I saw, like, scratch marks, not of an animal, but of human hands. I know this because I too have human hands and have scratched out walls. Don't ask why, I just did. So I know what human scratch marks look like. Then there was, like, writing on the wall saying, like, really just weird things, like children's names and help. And the word help was just written in a lot of places. And I just decided I don't want to go in there. I get weird feelings. I get cold and sweaty at the same time. I'm just never going in there again. Mother, if you want anything, you have to climb in there yourself. That's on you. So yeah, attic, totally haunted. Did not like it there. If we go into the next level of the house, which is the main floor, there were many a times that you would just hear people talking. Like, there was one time in particular that I distinctly remember where I was home alone. I was in the living room watching TV. I had all of the pets with me. So, like, the dogs, the cats, the fish were in the room behind me, but they're fish. And every animal and me are in the same room. Everyone else is gone. And I just hear, like, footsteps in the kitchen and dining room behind me and, like, voices talking. So I'm like, wait, I thought I was home alone. So I turn around and I look and there's no one there. So I'm already just like, what the fuck? So I call out. I'm like, hello? Is anyone else home? Because I'm thinking it's like, oh, maybe it's like my brother. He snuck in the back with his friends. So I get up. And here's the thing. Typically when I walk somewhere, one of the cats or, like, the dog would follow me. Because they'd be like, oh, maybe I can get some treats. So I go into the kitchen. No one's there. I get a weird feeling by the basement door. And I just keep my eyes straight. And I walk back into the living room. Turn off the TV. And then I walk outside and I just wait on the porch. I'm like, I'm staying here until someone gets home. Because there are ghosts in the house and I don't want to die. And then in the basement area, this is where the real fun happens. Unfinished basement, fairly large space. And in the basement there was an area that was kind of like a basement living room. You would have the washer dryer section when you come down the stairs. To the left, you would have the washer dryer. To the right, it would just be open space. And then there was also a bedroom section that was made. And that's where my older brother's room was. Towards the back, you had a storage area, sort of a finished bathroom, and then just back again to the entertainment living room area. And the stairs weren't sealed going down, so it was just a pole that you would hold on to, and then it was open from either side, which I hated. But you would be in the basement area, just doing laundry, and from the entertainment center behind you, or entertainment room, you would just, like, feel someone looking at you, or, like, you would feel eyes on you. And sometimes you would hear, like, breathing. So I hated doing laundry, just at all. Because I was like, oh, so this is how I die. Seems right. Heavy breathing behind me. I'm in a dark room. I will perish. And then there were times where you would go up the stairs to the basement, and one of two things would happen. And remember what I said, basement stairs weren't finished, so you can see through them to the rest of the basement. And going up, you would look, and there would be, like, a man standing in the storage area, just, like, dressed in construction, like in a construction uniform, and, like, had heavy boots. And, like, he would, like, look at me, and he would just, like, smile, and he would just, like, look at me, and he would just, like, smile, and he would just, like, look at me, and he would just, like, smile, and he would just, like, look at me, and he would just, like, smile, and he would just, like, look at me, and he would just, like, smile, and he would just, like, look at me, and he would just, like, smile, and he would just, like, look at me, and he would just, like, smile, and he would just, like, look at me, and he would just, like, smile, and he would just, like, look at me, and he would just, like, smile, and he would just, like, look at me, and he would just, like, smile, and he would just, like, look at me, and he would just, like, smile, and he would just, like, look at me, and he would just, like, smile, and he would just, like, look at me, and he would just, like, smile, and he would just, like, look at me, and he would just, like, smile, and he would just, like, look at me, and he wo And he would just, like, stand there and just look at you. No, thank you. So, the first time I saw that, I kind of just, like, froze. And then kept my eyes down. And then just kind of trudged up the stairs. Because I didn't want him to know that I saw him looking at me. I thought I was going to die. So I get upstairs and everything's fine. The other thing that could have happened would be when you go up the stairs, occasionally, and by occasionally, I mean more than should have been happening, you would hear heavy footsteps behind you. Now, these were like rickety wood stairs. But also, I have 2 brain cells. I know what my feet sound like, and I've gone up many stairs, and I know what like wood steps settling back into place sound like. It doesn't sound like heavy boots on wood. That's a very distinct sound. So I'm going upstairs, and then you just hear the heavy footsteps coming right up after you. And I never ran up the stairs because I knew better, because then they would know that I knew that they were behind me. But I would slowly go up the stairs, and then as you reach the top of the basement, keep looking forward. Don't look behind you into the basement, because I've seen things. I've seen, like, the man coming up the stairs. Did not like that. Did not like that at all. So I learned. I'm just going to close the door behind me and not talk about it again. And my mom refused to believe the house was haunted. She's like, oh, that's just bad energy. I'll just light some sage and walk around the house. And I'm like, that's not doing shit. That's not doing shit. They're here. They don't like us here. We're too loud. There's too many of us. And there were just ghosts everywhere. Yeah, so in that house where the upstairs main floor and basement were all haunted, I spent 10 years there. I grew up in that house. Fuck that house. Fuck the ghosts in that house. I had a neighbor next door who was an old man who was, like, very sweet. He's a very sweet old man. And he would, like, make his own jam in the basement. He died in his house. And there would be times where, like, before the next people who bought the house, which was, like, a young married couple, I would just see the basement light on and then a shadow, like, just walking back and forth. Did not like that. And then the couple moved in, was there for a few months, had their newborn baby, immediately moved out because they said that they kept seeing an old man in the house. It's because it's his house and you're just living there. Yeah, I mean, I lived in a lot of haunted places. My first year of college, the first 2 years, I dormed. And my freshman year, I dormed in, like, the freshman dorm areas. They were all, like, freshly made and new to, like, deceive the freshmen into thinking that the college is a good place, and it's not. I hate that college. And that place was haunted. There was a bathroom ghost who all of the freshmen called Moaning Myrtle. Guess why? Because in the female bathroom toilets, or in the female bathroom on the first floor, you would just hear her crying. And I was telling my mom about that, and she's like, oh, I don't believe you. And then she came over to visit once. She was in the bathroom. She was, like, showering because she was helping me do something. It was, like, sweaty. So she went to go shower. Just as she was finishing, she told me that she heard crying. And she's like, who's crying? So, and as a mom, she's like, okay, I'm going to go check on this child and see if they're okay. So she stepped out of the shower, like, dressed now, and she sees another girl coming out of the stall. Both of them are looking at each other like, were you the one who was crying? No, were you the one that was crying? And they still hear it. So they're like, okay, someone has to be crying. So they check all of, like, the shower stalls. They check all of the toilet stalls. No one's there. It couldn't be a vent coming. And so, like, these walls and, like, the door's very thick. So you can't hear anything from the rooms on either side or in the hall. for, like, privacy for everyone. So you couldn't hear anything from outside. All of the vents led outside, not into the hallway or into another room. It was outdoors. But the noise was coming from inside the bathroom. So my mom comes back in, she's pale, and I'm like, are you good? And she's like, okay, I believe you now. Like, I heard crying in the bathroom. And I was like, you thought I was lying. But I was right. That is Moaning Myrtle. So if anyone goes to Dominican University in River Forest and you're a freshman and you're staying in the dorms and you hear crying in the bathroom, that just happens. There's just Moaning Myrtle just kind of weeps there. Leave her be. And then my sophomore year, I was staying in because there's 2 dorms. You have one dorm at the main campus, and then another dorm at the, like, extension cabinet campus, which is kind of just for, like, people doing their masters. Or, like, the sophomores, or the juniors and seniors kind of stay there. It's at the Priory campus. So, I stayed there my sophomore year. Don't know why I got placed there. I didn't ask for it. Probably because it was cheaper. Anyways, so I was staying over there, and it was connected to a chapel. Like the Sisters Chapel. And there were vending machines. But, so the way that the dorm, Sister Chapel, so the way that the whole dorm area was kind of laid out would be, I'll put something up on the screen, where you would have dorms on one side, long hallway, and in the middle of that hallway, you would have stairs to go downstairs and stairs to go upstairs, and also, you would walk on, like, a upper area, like an upper balcony of the chapel below, and you can actually just look into the chapel. And then when you finish crossing, that's where, like, the vending machine and, like, more dorm rooms were. And I hated needing to get snacks late at night, to the point where I kind of just walked to the 7-Eleven across the street and didn't go to the vending machine. Because one too many times, I would be passing over this balcony area, something told me to look down, and I wish I ignored it, because I'd look down, and then I would see someone, and it was dark, but you would have, like, just barely enough light coming in through, like, the windows, and the exit light to kind of see a shadow down there, and there would just be a shadow down there. And sometimes it was crouched, sometimes it was standing, sometimes it had its arms out, and I hated it. I hated that shadow. One day I told my, what are they called? My RA about it, and I was like, hey, I think there's someone in the chapel. Because I see someone down there. And she's like, oh, no one should be in the chapel. Like, that should be locked. So she goes down to check, and she's like, are you sure? Because it's completely empty. And I didn't know what to say to that. I saw a person there. And sometimes you would hear, like, chanting or, like, prayers or hymns. And that sucked. I hated that. I just went to the 7-Eleven because I did not want to deal with that anymore. And back in the main campus, there was a door that was sealed up. Like, it could have been it was a dorm room, but the door, they just laid bricks in front of it so that it would just be closed off. Because a nun killed herself in that room. And then they just were like, oh, okay, we're not gonna deal with that. We're not gonna deal with maybe a ghost nun terrorizing a student. We're just gonna lock that up. Dominican is completely haunted. That school is haunted. And everyone who I've spoken to who's gone to that school also know about the nun who killed herself, and also have the same stories about a ghost crying in the bathroom, and the chapel being totally haunted by, like, a demon. I shouldn't be able to see ghosts, Why do I see a ghost? I don't trust it. But yeah, that school's haunted. So I think in total, the amount of years that I've spent living in haunted establishments is like 15. More than that. It's like 15 to 16 years. I moved in with my boyfriend about 3 years ago, and this is the first time I have experienced like just clean air. You know how shitty that is? Where I'm just like, oh, there's not anything here. Only human people. Only flesh and blood human people. Yeah, I fucking hate can't stand ghosts. I like ghost adventures, and I like getting scared by like the supernatural. I live for it. Give me supernatural, but only seasons 1 through 4, please. Love the paranormal. However, do not like them when they get close to me. I don't like them when we're roommates and they're not paying rent. I refuse. So, yep, those are the times that I have lived in haunted places. It's been most of my life. I desperately hope that, like, when me and my fiance go and, like, shop for houses, we don't get screwed over. We don't find a ghost one. So I really can't do it again. I will cry. Like, if I walk into a house and it just, like, feels heavy, I'm just going to weep. But yeah, thanks for watching. This has been the Halloween episode? I'll take it. Yeah, see you next time. Oh, thanks for watching. Should I say like and subscribe? Oh, that's gonna sound so weird. Like and subscribe. Oh, makes me want to gag. But yeah, feel free to like, feel free to share. Feel free to leave a comment below about if you have ever been haunted by a ghost. Comment below if you also went to Dominican University and you know what I'm talking about. Because I'm pretty sure everyone knows about the nun room and Moaning Myrtle. Thanks.